6 days after the curse ended, Joel found himself facing a new curse, the smile curse. Now, Joel was desperately trying to pass it on. You see, when someone is under this curse, they have to give up everything. They only have 6 to 7 days to survive, but most people can't even make it to the 4th day. Joel came up with a plan. He decided to find 2 criminals. His idea was to kill one of them and show something to the other that would cause him to die, so the curse would transfer to him. He managed to kill one criminal, but the second one started a shootout. In the chaos, the criminal accidentally killed himself. Joel was devastated. His plan had failed completely. But then, out of nowhere, his luck took a surprising turn. Another drug dealer named Lewis had been secretly watching everything from a distance. Lewis had come to collect his goods, and Joel suddenly realized his plan was back on track. The curse could transfer to Lewis now. Feeling relieved, Joel began to leave the scene. However, when he stepped outside, more gangsters were waiting for him and opened fire. To escape, Joel ran to the back window. Just as he thought he might make it, a truck came out of nowhere and hit him. Just like how a squirrel never sees a car coming until it's too late, Joel was no different. He lost his life, and his body was torn into pieces. Blood from his body parts formed a creepy smile, the symbol of the curse. And this is where the real story begins. The characters from the last movie, they were gone now. And the craziest part, even if you manage to transfer the smile curse or even break it, nothing good happens. The last guy who tried it ended up in jail. And now, look at poor Joel. He lost his life. Anyway, now a new story unfolds. We meet Sky Riley, a Grammy-winning pop star. Sky is making her comeback on a celebrity talk show after a dark period in her life. She had fallen into substance abuse, taking heavy drugs with her boyfriend, Paul Hudson. One fateful day, while on her world tour, Sky and Paul went on a long drive, both completely intoxicated. But their joyride ended in tragedy when they crashed a car and Paul didn't survive. Sky was left seriously injured. After spending a year in the hospital, Sky had finally recovered and managed to beat her addiction. Now, she was returning to her career, full of gratitude for her manager, her mother Elizabeth, her personal assistant Joshua, and her loyal fans. Their prayers and support helped her escape the jaws of death and start over. It looked like Sky was on her way to turning her life into heaven. But hold on. The movie is called Smile, which means Hell Smile is lurking right around the corner, waiting to strike. So, we see Sky practicing her dance routine for an upcoming project. She was having trouble with a few steps, so she decided to take a break and head to the restroom. While there, she noticed her bag, which had surgery marks on it, just like the one she had on her stomach. She also had severe back pain that had been bothering her for a while. To deal with it, Sky secretly took a pain-relieving drug. Just as she was about to take the pill, her mother, Elizabeth, knocked on the door. Startled, Sky panicked and dropped the tablet into the sink. Now she had no more drugs with her. Later, Elizabeth and her assistant Joshua dropped her off at her hotel. After they left, Sky, still in pain, messaged Lewis, who invited her over. As soon as they left, Sky hailed a taxi and went to Lewis's house. When she got there, Lewis opened the door, looking scared, angry, and completely out of his mind. He pointed a sword at her and demanded to know what she was doing there. Sky, confused, told him that he had messaged her to come over. Shockingly, Lewis denied sending any message, and it became clear that the message had been sent by something else, something darker. The same entity, using its tricks, wanted to lure Sky there for its own purposes. Sky asked Lewis for some drugs, which he reluctantly went inside to fetch. But Lewis, terrified, couldn't bring himself to leave his house. He had gone mad, consumed by fear. Sky waited outside, but when he didn't return for a long time, she went to check on him. That's when Lewis came rushing out of the room, terrified. Something was haunting him, and though Sky couldn't see it, we could tell he was seeing the entity. Suddenly, Lewis started panicking, wearing a creepy smile that sent shivers down Sky's spine. Just like how a clown smile can be funny until it's creepy, Lewis's grin was anything but friendly. Then, in a horrifying fit of madness, Lewis picked up a 15-kilogram weight plate and smashed it against his own face, repeatedly, until his face was completely destroyed. Despite the blood and the damage, that eerie smile remained stuck on his broken, bloodied face. Sky, horrified by what she had just witnessed, vomited. But the worst part, the curse had now shifted onto her. She was the next victim, just as the entity had planned. Panicked, Sky dialed 911. But with a dead body and drugs scattered around, her history with substance abuse could land her in serious trouble. It would ruin her career comeback. Out of fear, she ran away from Lewis's house. When she got back to her hotel, she tried to calm down, drinking water and taking a bath, though she noticed her hair falling out from the stress. After some time, she went to bed, but in the middle of the night, she began hearing strange noises. It disturbed her deeply. She looked around, but there was nothing to be seen, yet we knew what it meant. The curse had started, and the next 6 to 7 days were going to be a living nightmare for Sky. Things were about to get much, much worse. The next day, Sky was at a photo shoot, feeling upset again. Her mother, Elizabeth, noticed her uneasiness and suggested she reach out to her best friend, Gemma. Sky and Gemma had broken off their friendship a year ago and hadn't spoken since. While Sky was still hesitant, an old friend stopped by and invited her to a charity event. Sky accepted the invitation, hoping it might lift her spirits. The following day, Sky was busy with photo shoots for her new projects, posing in different costumes. But while changing outfits, she felt a sudden wave of fear and discomfort. She quickly retreated to her cabin, still haunted by the memory of Lewis's horrifying death. She thought about contacting Gemma for comfort, but was interrupted by a call from an unknown number. The text message that followed asked if she had been at Lewis's apartment the night he died. The realization that someone knew about her presence that night unsettled her deeply. Later, she started hearing strange noises, just like she had heard the night before. As she looked around in panic, she saw nothing. But when she turned to the mirror, she saw Lewis standing behind her. Her heart raced in fear. Lewis, with a twisted grin, pulled at his lips with his fingers, forcing a terrifying smile. Just like when you accidentally bite into a chili thinking it's a bell pepper, Sky wasn't prepared for the shock either. She screamed in terror, and suddenly, her mother walked in, everything returning to normal. Sky, trying to act casual, nervously explained that she had seen a spider, causing her to panic. To shift the attention, she also complained about the dress she was wearing, saying that the scar on her stomach was too visible in it. Her mother tried to comfort her, lightening the mood, but the tension remained. In the next scenes, we see Sky finishing up her project. Afterward, she attended a fan meet-and-greet event. Different fans came up to her, asking for autographs and taking pictures. Everything seemed normal until a strange man in a t-shirt approached her. As she signed his autograph, he grabbed her inappropriately, speaking suggestively about wanting to go with her. Sky, shocked and upset, tried to pull away. Security quickly stepped in and removed the man, but the incident left her rattled. She tried to calm herself down, but the discomfort lingered. The next fan, a young girl, stepped forward, but something about her wasn't right. The girl had a creepy, unsettling smile that made Sky feel even more uncomfortable. She powered through the rest of the event, but by the time she got home that evening, she was emotionally drained. Her stress was taking a toll. Her hair was even starting to fall out again. Finally, Sky decided to reach out to Gemma. She gathered her courage, called her old friend, and apologized for their falling out. She explained that she needed her and asked if Gemma could come over. Gemma, hearing the desperation in Sky's voice, agreed to be there in 45 minutes. Sky needed to calm down, so she drank some water and decided to improve her mood by playing the piano and singing. As she was in the middle of a song, her glass water bottle suddenly fell off the table and shattered. This upset her, so she got up to check the main door, which was thankfully locked. Feeling a bit safer, she went to clean up the broken glass. Suddenly, she heard another sound. Looking up, she noticed a t-shirt lying on the floor. It was the same t-shirt worn by that creepy guy who had harassed her at the fan event. Sky moved closer and saw that all his clothes were scattered on the floor, including his underwear. Then, to her horror, she saw the man standing completely naked in front of her. Just like when you're not ready for a surprise Zoom call and you're in your pajamas, Sky wasn't ready for this at all. Before she could react, the lights in the room went out, and the man came charging toward her aggressively. In a panic, she ran to the main door, opened it, and saw Gemma standing outside. Relieved, Sky let Gemma in and grabbed a lamp to defend herself. But when she looked back, everything had returned to normal. The glass bottle was back on the table, and there were no clothes on the floor. It was clear that what she had seen was just a hallucination. Gemma, noticing Sky's distress, asked her what had happened and what was troubling her. Sky apologized and thanked Gemma for coming so quickly. When she asked how Gemma arrived so fast, Gemma seemed confused, replying that Sky had called her an hour ago. This startled Sky because to her, only a few minutes had passed. However, she composed herself and started explaining to Gemma that she'd been experiencing nightmares and strange occurrences. She told her about Louis and how his terrifying, smiling face haunted her. Gemma tried to comfort her, suggesting she stay the night to help Sky feel safer. They both went to bed, but in the middle of the night, Sky had a nightmare about her car accident, waking up in a panic. When Gemma asked what was wrong, Sky confessed that she felt trapped in darkness, like she was losing her mind. She wanted to escape the nightmare, but didn't know how. Gemma, in a strange tone, said that Sky was a bad person who needed to be free from it. This statement confused Sky, and she asked Gemma to repeat herself, but Gemma only smiled. A creepy smile that made Sky's skin crawl. Just like when your best friend suddenly starts acting like a villain in a horror movie, things weren't adding up for Sky. Looking at Gemma's face, Sky suddenly had vivid flashes of her accident, causing her to panic. But when she sat up, she realized Gemma wasn't even there. A moment later, Gemma walked in with coffee, telling Sky it was morning already, even though it had been night just a moment ago. Gemma told her she needed to leave, but Sky didn't want to be left alone. However, Sky had to prepare for her tour, and her mother had arrived to pick her up. As she was at the chute for her tour, something strange happened. Sky suddenly fell, screaming in pain as she saw her legs broken. People rushed to help her, but when she looked again, her legs were completely fine. She yelled that someone had pushed her, but no one knew what had happened. The director confirmed that someone had approached her, but who it was remained a mystery. Sky was feeling very upset and went to her makeup room, only to find it completely trashed. Everything was a mess. Outside, she saw Joshua standing there with a creepy smile. She stormed out and angrily accused him of wrecking the room, asking why he would do such a thing. But Joshua denied it, saying he hadn't done anything. Elizabeth, Sky's mother, backed him up, saying Joshua had been with her the whole time. Then, Elizabeth asked Sky if she had started taking drugs again, which only made Sky more frustrated. She insisted that she hadn't taken any drugs, and this time, she was telling the truth. Elizabeth comforted her, reminding her they had a charity event to attend that evening, something a friend had invited her to. However, Sky refused, saying she wasn't even sure she was ready for her upcoming tour. Her mother reassured her, saying that the tour was important for her and that no one hated her. On the contrary, everyone loved her. Elizabeth encouraged her to keep her word and attend the charity event, saying it would be crucial for her before the tour. Reluctantly, Sky agreed. That evening, before the event, Sky messaged Gemma from backstage. Then, she received another message from an unknown number, saying they knew she was the pop singer Sky Riley. This worried her even more, because it confirmed that someone had seen her with Louis that night. As she prepared to go on stage, a fly started bothering her, and in her attempt to swat it away, she smudged her lipstick. Just like when you try to fix your hair in a Zoom meeting, and suddenly you look worse. This fly was messing everything up. Finally, Sky went on stage, where she was supposed to give a speech using the teleprompter. But midway through, the teleprompter stopped working. Panicking, she started rambling nonsense, saying she never even wanted to be a singer. Her friends in the audience started giving her strange looks, making her feel embarrassed. Luckily, the teleprompter started working again, and she read the rest of the speech. Then, she introduced the next guest. When she saw the name on the teleprompter, she froze in shock. It was Paul Hudson. Paul had been her boyfriend, and he had died in a tragic accident right in front of her. Sky began to panic, wondering why his name was on the list. As the crowd looked on in confusion, Sky suddenly saw Paul walking toward the stage with the same creepy smile. Terrified, Sky started screaming, saying Paul was dead and this couldn't be real. The audience didn't understand what was happening. Then, an elderly woman standing behind Sky placed her hand on her shoulder to calm her down, but Sky, thinking it was Paul, shoved her hard. The woman fell to the ground and got hurt badly. The event was ruined, and so was Sky's reputation. She returned home in a deeply disturbed state. Then, she received more texts from the unknown number, warning her that someone was in serious danger and that this person could help her. They needed to meet soon. Sky, feeling uneasy and confused, decided to text the unknown person asking who they were. The reply she got chilled her. The things she was seeing weren't just her imagination. They were real. The stranger then sent her a video of Lewis, and in it, Lewis appeared haunted, just like she was. The person explained that after Lewis's death, they had checked his phone and found Sky's name and messages. They knew exactly what Sky was going through. The visions, the hauntings. It was all part of a curse. This curse had been passed down from one person to the next like a chain. The stranger explained that the curse started with Lewis, then moved on to Joel, his doctor friend, and his ex-girlfriend Ross. It even caused Ross to lose her brother. The curse wasn't new. It had been tracked all the way back to a case in Brazil. Sky learned that the curse was like a parasite, a leech, that fed off its host trauma, fear, and bad memories. Once it had fed enough, it would kill its victim within a week, but only if the victim died in front of someone else. That way, the curse could be passed on to the next person. Just like when you're in line at a buffet and the person in front takes the last piece of cake, passing the disappointment right on to you. The stranger told Sky that she could stop the curse from spreading if she managed to die without passing it to someone else. But that meant Sky would have to let herself be killed. The stranger, who revealed himself to be a nurse, offered a bizarre solution. He would stop Sky's heart just long enough to remove the curse, then revive her. Naturally, Sky was horrified. Why would she trust this person, a stranger, to stop her heart? So she quickly left the place. She didn't know whether to believe any of this, but the situation made her angry. People in the area began recognizing her, so she made a hasty exit, pretending that she was visiting her new boyfriend. Soon enough, the whole thing became a headline. Back in her hotel room, Sky turned on all the lights and started packing her things, determined to leave this nightmare behind. But suddenly, a sharp pain struck her back, leaving her uncomfortable and in distress. Angry and frustrated, she began throwing her things around the room. After calming down a bit, she walked out, only to see her backup dancers staring at her with the same creepy smiles. Just like when you're the only one who forgot to study for the test, and everyone else is giving you that "we told you so" look. Slowly, the dancers started moving toward her, their smiles never fading. Sky tried to escape, but they caught up to her. They began doing strange things to her, pulling her hair and even putting their hands inside her mouth. Everything went dark, and all that was left was the eerie sound of her groaning in the blackness. Sky had been haunted by nightmares about the night of Paul's accident, feeling guilty for his death. That night, under the influence of drugs, she and Paul had a fight in the car. In a moment of rage, Sky pulled the steering wheel, which led to the accident that killed Paul. This wasn't just a dream. It was the reality of what had happened. Sky always blamed herself for his death. When Sky wakes up, she finds herself in a wellness retreat, with her mother sitting in front of her. Her mother explains that Sky had a concussion and was recovering. Sky tries to explain that what she experienced wasn't just an injury, but something more, but no one believes her. Sky tells her mother that she wants to cancel her tour and stop everything, as she can't continue like this. Her mother gets furious, saying that canceling the tour would ruin Sky's career, one they had spent years building with time, effort, and money. Sky, frustrated, tells her mother that she doesn't understand what's really happening. Suddenly, her mother gives her the same creepy smile Sky had seen before. In an eerie voice, her mother says she's been tested and examined. Then, in a shocking turn, her mother breaks a mirror, pulls out a shard of glass, and with the same creepy smile, stabs her own neck. Just like when you accidentally bite your tongue while eating and wonder if your mouth is secretly plotting against you. Blood pours out, and her mother's eyes burst. Horrified, Sky runs towards the door, but when she reaches it, she looks down to see that the glass piece is in her hand. Her mother lies dead on the floor, and Sky realizes that she's the one who killed her. Devastated and terrified, Sky breaks down. She decides to end the curse once and for all. Changing her clothes, she walks out. Joshua and others try to stop her, but she grabs a security guard's gun and escapes. Outside, she meets Gemma, who takes care of her. Sky gets in Gemma's car, and they drive away together. Sky, desperate to end this, asks Gemma for the address where the procedure could be done to break the curse. As they drive, Sky asks Gemma to stop the car, sensing something is off. Gemma refuses to leave her, but then Sky gets a call. It's from the real Gemma, who says she saw Sky's message from that day and never met her, never stayed the night, and never talked to her. The person with Sky now wasn't Gemma at all. It was the same evil entity taking Gemma's form. The entity, still in Gemma's shape, starts taunting Sky, telling her that no one will support her and that everyone hates her. Just like when you post something embarrassing online and the notifications start rolling in. Everyone is judging you, but Sky fights back, reminding herself that all of this is just in her mind. She regains control of her thoughts, and the fake Gemma disappears. Sky is in a desperate situation, and Morse explains to her the entire process to stop the curse. He tells her she'll be given an injection that will stop her heart temporarily, and then it'll be restarted. After explaining, he leaves to take care of something, and while Sky is alone, she suddenly sees a creepy version of herself hanging from the ceiling, the accident victim version of herself. The haunting version starts tormenting her, telling her that it has waited long for this moment. We've learned from the past that when this evil entity comes to claim its victim, it appears as the biggest trauma of their life. For Sky, that trauma is herself, her guilt, her pain. The evil version of Sky begins to open her mouth to possess her and kill her, but Sky fights back. She grabs the injection that will stop her heart and bites the entity's hand. She injects herself to stop her heart and end the curse. Just like when you hit the snooze button in the morning, thinking, just 5 more minutes, but life has other plans. At this point, the evil entity pretends to be scared, even crying, but soon starts laughing, revealing that it's all still just a mind game. Sky didn't actually inject herself. The entity trapped Sky in a closet, and when the closet door opens, Sky is shocked to find herself back on stage, on the first day of her world tour. Everything seems normal again. There are thousands of fans cheering, and her mother, her director, and everyone else appear fine. Sky starts to think maybe Joshua was right, and all of this was just a figment of her imagination. But suddenly, a monstrous, skinless, smiling face, the entity, appears, without anyone in the audience noticing. It tears open Sky's mouth and goes inside her, possessing her fully, just like what happened to Ross in the previous story. The creepy smile spreads across Sky's face, and in front of the entire crowd, she grabs the microphone and stabs it into her own eye, killing herself. Just like when you try to fix a tech problem by turning it off and on again, but instead, you accidentally throw the computer out the window. But this time, something even worse happens. The curse that used to spread from one person to another is now unleashed on thousands of people at once. Everyone who witnessed the event. The Smile entity realized that people had found a way to stop the curse. So, it decided to spread its power to millions of people. Now, it's unstoppable. The game of death will continue forever, spreading from person to person, like a dark, endless chain reaction. And hey, if you enjoyed this recap, give it a thumbs up and drop a comment below about what you'd do if an evil entity tried to crash your tour. Personally, I'd call in sick. Thanks for watching, stay spooky, and I'll see you in the next one.